If you want to have a better community, then it's not about complaining about I don't get enough out of it. It's about looking in the mirror and saying, what can I contribute to it? Is pick up your instrument and join the band. You will become who God has created you to be in community. Life to the full is found within our limits. We need to understand our limits and need to understand that where our limits stop, somebody else's limits begin, and together we can change the world. Can you tell that I'm nervous? And I'm putting this off for as long as humanly possible. All right, here we go. Don't we have an incredible team? All right, I'm going to get them to stay there because I'm going to utilise their skills in a moment. But if you're new here, we're in the middle of a series called Life to the Full. Life to the Full. God has created you. Jesus came. We've got Easter coming up so that, not that you would endure life, but you would enjoy life, that you would have life and life to the full. And that comes out of John 10:10, that Jesus came to give us life and life to the full. And that's very cool. And so this is our second week. I'd encourage you, if you weren't here last week or didn't hear last week, I would encourage you to go back and listen to last week because they will very much be continuous messages. But we're talking about the moment that life to the full is found when we live within our limits. When we live within our limits. And so if I can have the next slide up, please, that would be amazing. And the next one. And so the idea is, part of the idea comes across where we've got these incredible artworks, right? So if we use David and Michelangelo or Christ the Redeemer, Mona Lisa, it doesn't matter. But where we know that they got to a point, each of these artists, whether it's Leonardo da Vinci or Michelangelo or whoever it might be, they're doing their thing, they're creating, and then there is a limit. There is a point where if they were to keep going and do more than that, they'd actually start detracting. It's like, okay, I've got David, I've got it sorted, and that's it. That's the limit. That's the limit where we get the most out of the artwork. That's the limit where we get the most out of the statue. That's the limit. If we do more than this, I'm going to start making it worse. And life is the same. And really, I think for a lot of us, it becomes down to being a faith issue. See, do we have faith that God is at work in, through, and for us? Or do we feel like we have to go beyond our capabilities, beyond our capacity? Do we have to go beyond that in order to help God out? Or in order to, whatever? Or do we have faith in each other that we can get this done and whatever God has created us to do? You see, God is for us. God did a good job when He made you, that you are enough and you can actually grow your capacity. So I got this sort of 5-point statement that I made about understanding our limits. Number one, it prevents burnout and frustration and anxiety. Number two, it prioritizes the important over the urgent. It protects your relationships and your well-being. It promotes rhythm and rest. And it proves our faith in God and in others. So when we stay within our limits, that when we have faith that God did enough, that God created us, that is where we're going to sort of hit our limits. All right. So I'm a little bit whatever, because this next bit has the potential to be incredibly humiliating. And that's for me, not for everybody else. So I'll get you guys just to pull back for a sec. Can I go another slide forward? And there we go. Join a band. Join a band. So that's what I want to talk about today. Life to the full. Now, the concept of join a band is that life to the full is found living within our limits. And I want to suggest that a community that's living to its full understands the limits of each of its members and understands the limit of the community. And when we do that, we are going to live above and beyond anything we could hope or dream. All right, and I'm thinking to myself, how do I give an illustration? How do I help us understand this concept? So, apart from this morning when we had a 30-second sort of trial at this is the first time I've done this in over 10 years. So this has the potential to be incredibly embarrassing. Thank you. All right. Who knew, hey? Am I allowed to move the straps, Adam? Because this is like a little T-Rex kind of.
Yeah, T-Rex is good.
Oh, thank you, Max. Give it up for Max. All right. I used to play the bass once. I only played it once. No, I used to play it a little bit. So basically what happened is we were pastoring a church and there were 6 people and shrinking, and so Rachel and I were the worship team. So I had to teach myself the guitar, and then I moved on. We did bass and whatever. So let's just see how we go. All right. All right, here we go. I'm a bit. I should just face this way. All right, so that's all right. Like, it's not as embarrassing as I thought it was going to be. But you see, here's the thing. I got to tell you, I am incredibly aware of my limits on the bass. All right, I could do a little country kind of. All right, but that's the extent. I've now shown you all of my skills on the bass. All right, but the point I want to make is, when we understand our limits within a community, we can come around each other within the limits that we have, and we can kind of make it good. All right, so let's try that. Let's see if we can make it good, all right? We've done 30 seconds of rehearsal. Let's see if it works. So, sorry? Can you tell that I'm nervous? And I'm putting this off for as long as humanly possible. All right, here we go. Oh, wrong. Thank you, guys. You see, in and of myself, I can just do the basics. I can just do, as long as I stay within my. See, if I started, like, I used to be able to do some other little things in there, but when I'm aware, actually, right now that's above my capacity, but I just stay within my limits. But then as we get into community, and where I lack, other people start lifting, and where they lack, I start lifting. And I love the fact, like, once we start going for it, as much as just a simple thing, all of a sudden it starts to build, it starts to grow, it starts to evolve into something quite special. And I love the fact then all of a sudden people start clapping and people start, now it's not just the band that's having fun, now all of a sudden it expands and we end up starting a movement. Now, if any of us that were here decided we're going to be a bit clever and we're going to go beyond our limits, mess. If any of us thought, do you know what, Matt's just a bit basic, I'm just going to go for it, mess. But when we work together within our capacity and within our limits, we make each other better. we make each other better. And I think it's intentional. I think God created us this way on purpose so that we need each other. So that we need each other. Last week we spoke, how am I meant to preach with you there? That's my granddaughter. I think it's, last week we spoke about the first limitation that I think is written in Scripture, which is the limit is man, woman should not live on their own. They shouldn't be doing life on their own. The limit that God, the first boundary was do life together, do life in community. So I'm going to expand on that this morning. As I said, it's going to go from step to step. Each week is connected to the previous. And the verse that sort of jumped out at me when I was thinking about this is found in Galatians 6. It says, share each other's burdens, and in this way obey the law of Christ. Hang on, what? What? Like, if somebody said to you, how are you going with your faith journey? You go, I am obeying the law of Christ. I am doing it well. What would you think that they were talking about? Well, to the Galatians, it's are you sharing one another's burdens? To the Galatians, what it looks like to follow the law of Christ, what it looks like to obey the law, what it looks like to be a Jesus follower, what it looks like to be everything you've been created to be, what it looks like to live life to the full is to share one another's burdens. My old senior pastor used to say, if a burden shared is a burden halved, I'm going to share it with everybody and then I don't have to carry much anymore. See, the reality is you can't attend a band. You can't attend a band. If you attend a band, you're the audience. You're the crowd. You're an observer. You belong to a band. And you belong to a band when you contribute what it is you have to the band. Whatever that capacity is at, whatever that limit is at. Now, in a couple of weeks, we're going to talk about expanding your capacity. Because in a band, you should be practicing. And you get better. And you start being able to contribute more and more to the band. But the limit of a community is not based upon what you get out of it. The limit of the community is based upon what we contribute to it. If you want to have a better community, then it's not about complaining about I don't get enough out of it. It's about looking in the mirror and saying, what can I contribute to it? Let me give you an example. If all your friends are dropkicks, trying to think of a nicer way to say this. We all know you become like who you hang around. So if none of your friends have any drive, just look in the mirror. If none of your friends have any purpose, look in the mirror. If none of your friends are on a faith journey, look in a mirror, because it won't be long because you become the sum total of the people you do life with. Because you don't belong so that you contribute and that gets you belonging. Right? If you don't make the community better and the community doesn't make you better, are you in the right community? Because it's any friendship, any marriage. Your marriage is only as good as what you contribute to it. Why won't they? They never. No. What do you bring? If both parts of a marriage, if both spouses, if both husband, wife, whatever we're talking about, when you look in the mirror, what do you bring to the table? And if both parties are going, I'm going to give 100% to this, it will be fine. The problem is when one or less people go, I'm going to give 100%, and the other go, I'm going to take 100%, that's where the limit of the relationship will be. Every community is the same. Every friendship is the same. Okay, let me give you another example. If every time you go, hey, Greg, let's go out for lunch. He goes, excellent. And I get there and I'm like, oh, forgot my wallet. Greg goes, all good, I've got it. Fantastic. 2 weeks later, hey, Greg, let's go out for lunch. Excellent. I say, look, do you mind if you grab this one? I'll get the next one. How many times do you go out for lunch with the same person and keep paying? Now, there are some people that I will always pay for. But it is not in a relationship that is developing in its closeness and its intimacy. It might be a pastoral relationship. In fact, every time I have some people in my life, Pastor Phil Linden, Pastor Matt Hines, these sorts of people. I ask them out for coffee regularly, and I'm paying every time. Why? Because I'm not trying to build a friendship. I'm not trying to build a relationship. I'm trying to be invested into. But if you want to have a healthy relationship, it takes give and take. It takes both people. It used to be funny when we'd go out for dinner with my grandparents on my mum's side, and both my dad and my grandfather would be trying to be the sneakiest of who could pay first. And then Dad would think, I've got it this time. But he was out sneakied by my grandfather. That's what it should be. It should be, how can I give the most here? If my major concern with our marriage is how can I outgive Rachel, and her main view is how can she outgive me, we are going to have an incredible relationship. And that's what it's like in every community. The limit of the community is not what you get out of it. The limit of the community is what you contribute to it. You don't belong, then contribute. You contribute, and that's what helps you to belong. All right, if I can go to the next slide, please. 8 times in the New Testament, it says, love your neighbor as yourself. James says that this is the royal law. Peter says, above all things, clothe yourselves in love for one another. Paul says the most important thing is to express your faith in Jesus through loving other people well. Jesus says, treat people the way you'd want to be treated if you were them. Jesus says, love your neighbor as yourself, and love God with all you got, love your neighbor as yourself. But Jesus also says, love people as I love them, and you will fulfill my command. Like, this is, maybe God knew what he was talking about when he said, we're not meant to do life alone. That as I'm loving my neighbor as myself, and as they're loving me as themselves, we get healthy relationship. See, here's what we need to understand. We need to understand that we each have intrinsic value. God did an incredible job when he made you. Every conversation, every room. See, when you're not here on a Sunday service, you miss out. But every time you're not here, we miss out because you bring value to the room. You bring value to the congregation. You bring value. You are valuable. And whenever you enter into the room, you bring value because God did an incredible job when he made you. When you go up into a conversation, see, this is what I think some of our social awkwardness comes when we don't understand that. Because we go up to a group of people and we kind of hang back a little bit. And we wait to get invited in, or we wait to whatever. Why? If we could understand that I'm actually going to bring value to that conversation, and that everybody in that circle is going to bring value to that conversation, it's going to change the way we communicate. Matthew 28, 19 and 20. Go into all the world, make disciples. Baptizing them in the... Oh, by the way, I kind of like it, but I don't know. We've had a few time conflicts. So we've been having a lot of baptisms because it's like, oh, I can do it this week, but I can't do it that week and whatever. We got more baptisms coming up, which is really, really cool. So Anyway, we'll let you know more details on that, but if you want to get baptised, feel free. But it's really cool. And can I just encourage you too, let's prioritise our baptism Sundays because it's just cool to celebrate our church family. But anyway, go and make disciples of all the nations, baptising them in the name of the Father, the Son and the Holy Spirit. Teach these new disciples to obey all the commands I have given you. What's the commands he's given? Love people the way I love them. And be sure of this, I am with you always, even to the end of the age. You see, this is what we're talking about here. When we're talking about community and we're talking about that we make each other better and we're talking about if I just come in my limit and my capacity, but everybody else comes in. That's what the way the Bible describes that, the way Jesus describes that is it's called discipleship. It's called discipleship. You see, the purpose of community is discipleship. That we would all become more and more and more like Jesus. And I got to tell you, there are some people that when I hang around them, I become more like Jesus, and there are other people that I hang around that make me less like Jesus. And the aim, I think, in a lot of ways, is to make sure that we're spending more time with people who do than more people that don't. Did I say that right? So it's about discipleship. How is it discipleship? Because teach people what I've commanded you. Teach people what I've taught you. You know that revelation that, all right, maybe a better way to say it is this. Who are you hanging around that makes you better? Who are you hanging around that you make them better? No doubt. Who are you hanging around that you can talk about the things of Jesus with? Who are you hanging around that you can talk about the things of the church with? Who are you hanging around that you can pray for and that they'll pray for you? Who are you hanging around that will give you their 8 minutes when you need it? Who are you hanging around that you will give them 8 minutes when they need it? Are we being community, i.e., are we being disciples and disciple makers? So Encounter Church exists. Maybe you don't know where you are right now. This is Encounter Church. This is where we encounter church. And it exists to be a community equipped and empowered to be everything God has created us to be. That's our vision. That's what we believe. We believe we exist to be community. What does that mean? It means being community means that we become family. We become church. We become community. We become a group of people, a group of like-minded individuals who come together to be united, to be for each other, support each other, be there for each other. We exist to be a community where you can be equipped and empowered in order to play your part, in order to grow your capacity, in order to become more like Jesus. And as you do that, I become more like Jesus, and we become more like Jesus, and we become everything that God has created us to be. And so our teams exist. See, you think our cafe team exists to make you coffee. It doesn't. Our cafe team exists to be a community, equipped and empowered to be everything God has created them to be. The way they do that is through making coffee. You think our kids' church is all about looking after the kids so that we don't have crying kids in the room and no kid should have to sit here for 40 minutes listening to me. But it's not. The kids team are out there building community, equipping and empowering them to be everything God has created them to be. The way they do that is through kids' church. Our youth team, our host team, our venue team, our hospitality team, they don't exist to do hospitality. They don't exist to play music. They exist to be a community that they're going to be equipped and empowered to be everything that God has created them to be. Why? Because community is about discipleship. It's not enough to be in the crowd. I should have brought it up there. I love Brene Brown popularised a Franklin Roosevelt quote about it's not those who are in the fight that complain, it's those in the stands. Because we're not created to be in the stands. We're created to be on the field. It's not enough to be in the gym. Like if I went and got a gym membership, nothing changes. If I go into the gym and watch people exercise, not only will I get arrested, nothing else changes. I actually have to start exercising in the gym. And not only that, Not only do I have to start exercising in the gym, I have to start exercising 3-4 times a week. And more than that, that's still not enough. I'm going to make sure on those other 3 days or 4 days a week that I'm eating lettuce and celery. Because if I if I went to the gym once a week and every other day I'm at Daniel's Donuts, it doesn't do anything. I could be at the gym 3-4 times a week, but if I'm spending the other 4 days a week at Daniel's Donuts, and I don't have sponsorship, but I am open to conversations. You don't get a body like this eating lettuce and celery. But you see what I'm saying? You can't come to church once a week and then 6 days, the other 6 days, you're at the proverbial Daniel's Donuts and expect life transformation. You can't be part of the crowd and expect for things to change. You never change in isolation. We all become the grand total of who we hang around. So if you're hanging around with nobody, that's the change you're going to become. And it's not enough to be a part of the crowd because the crowd doesn't change. The crowd sways with circumstance. You go to the footy and we're winning and the crowd erupts and everybody's happy, happy, joy, joy, and the beer flows and the language does as well. But then, if you're a Carlton supporter in the fourth quarter, everything changes. And now the beer is being thrown and the language is even saltier. And it depends. We're on this wave of circumstance as to where life is going to be. But I promise you, the people on the field, they're not being swayed by the circumstance. The ones that are in the battle, they're not being swayed by the circumstance. They are there for each other. They are doing what they need to do. If I'm going through a tough situation, I'm going to lean in harder. I'm going to train harder. I'm going to be for my team more. That's when you know that the coach of a team is done, is when the team stops playing for them. Because it's not enough to be in the crowd. It's not enough to be in the stands. It's not enough to just rock up once every couple of weeks. One of my big frustrations as a pastor, it's happened a few times now where people go, I'm leaving the church. I'm like, well, that's sad. Why is that? I just don't feel connected. It's like, dude, you rock up once every 10 weeks. How connected are you expecting to be? It doesn't work like that. It's like going to the gym once every 10 weeks and going, hey, where's my 8-pack? And the only 8-pack you're going to find is in the fridge. Am I allowed to say that, Greg? Everything worthwhile is uphill. Everything worthwhile is uphill. You never fall into anything good. You never fall into anything good. It's always uphill. It always takes effort. It always takes intentionality. It always takes humility. It always takes intentionality and willingness and discomfort and inconvenience. It always takes putting other people first. It always takes time. It takes commitment. Everything worth doing is uphill every time. You see, we got this idea, come to Jesus and everything will be Pepsi and Skittles. I'm sorry. If that's what you've been taught, I apologize that you've been lied to. I got to tell you, coming to Jesus is one of the hardest things you'll ever do. You got to start sacrificing things. You got to stop doing everything that I want to do. I got to be better steward with what I spend my money and don't spend my money. I got to be more intentional about what I eat and don't eat, how I speak to people, how I wave at people when they cut me off in traffic changes. But it's worth it because everything worthwhile is uphill. Everything worthwhile takes effort, takes intentionality. You're never going to fall into close, good relationship. As I said last week, I just finished a book, and one of my favorite quotes in the book is, friendship is defined as vulnerability over time. If you want good, strong relationship, if you want good community, it's developed through vulnerability over time. Nobody wants that. That's flipping hard. It's hard to apologize quickly. It's hard to own your stuff. It's hard to open up about your challenges. It's hard to let people know when you're not okay. It's hard. But over time, we start developing trust, and the vulnerability comes, and the relationship grows, and our capacity for intimacy gets bigger. And all of a sudden, we now have people in our lives, and we're a community that's going to change the world. But we don't change in isolation. So the two sides of the coin is, you go, this is really hard, I'm going to do the easy thing. But the easy thing, nothing changes. You're going to live in despair and depression. See, despair and depression basically happens because we know that there is a better way to do life. We just don't know the process of how to get there. And so what we thought was a groove ends up, we realize, is a rut, and we don't know how to get out of it. But the way we get out of it, where the process starts, is having people around us, the right people around us, who can, where you can go, hey, I'm stuck. I don't know how to get out. Hey, Adam, you've been where I need to go. Can you show me the process? It starts with vulnerability. It starts with trust. It starts with connection. It starts with... So it's hard, but worth it. I understand, especially, I don't know if I'm allowed to say this anymore, but let me say it I am a male. And from my perspective, and anybody else who would consider themselves male, I don't know how I'm meant to say this anymore. It is so hard to ring up Greg and go, I'm not okay. It's so hard. But you're never going to be okay if you don't make that call. My wife is a female. I was going to say something inappropriate, but I'm trying really hard not to. It is not easy to go, I need help with this stuff. I've got so many plates spinning and I've got so much. Can you come and help me? But the plates will never stop spinning until she can. It's not easy to do this. If only there was a safe place that we could all come together and be community and carry each other's burdens. Oh, there is. Join a band. Join a band. All right, I'm going to do this really quickly. I didn't realize how much time this is going to take, so I'll be very quick. Romans 12, 1-5. To be fair, they've got a jumping castle out there today, so they'll be fine. Therefore means because of everything beforehand, this is the conclusion. I urge you, Encounter Church, in view of God's mercy, offer your bodies as a living sacrifice, holy and pleasing to God. This is your true and proper worship. Holy means to be separated towards God, and pleasing is, without faith, it's impossible to please. So living a life of faith and a life separated towards God, all right? Let them be a living and holy sacrifice, the kind he will find acceptable. This is truly the way to worship him. Don't conform to the pattern of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Then you'll be able to test and approve what God's will is, his good, pleasing, and perfect will. Because of the privilege and authority God has given me, I give each of you this warning. Don't think you're better than you really are. Be honest in your evaluation of yourselves, measuring yourselves by the faith God has given. If I can go to the next Romans 12 verse, please. A bit more. I've got to skip through this because I'm far over. There we go. No, next one. There we go. For just as each of us has one body with many members, and these members do not all have the same function, so in Christ we, though many, form one body, and each member belongs to all the others. So I had this whole big drawn-out explanation of these verses, but I don't have time. Maybe we'll do it next week. But here's what really jumped out at me when I was reading this. If you can go back to the previous Romans 12, 1-5 verse, it says, "Therefore I urge you, brothers and sisters, in view of God's mercy, to offer your bodies." Now that word bodies is really strange because 107 times in the New Testament, that word is actually translated in the singular, your body. And only about 5 or 6 times it says bodies. And it's the same word. If we go back to the previous one, when it says, just as each of us has one body, it's the same word. I found that fascinating. So maybe, because I think we all get, if you've been in church for any length of time, we all get, I need to lay my body down as a living sacrifice, holy and pleasing to God. But what if Paul is going, I'm writing to the church in Rome, and you are the church body, and as a church, you need to be a living sacrifice. Just like a human body has many parts, the church body has many parts, it has different functions, and the church body needs to be offered up as a living sacrifice. That changes things a little bit. Because now all of a sudden it's not about me laying my life down, it's about us laying our life down together because we belong to each other. And when I'm doing it, being part of the church, and I'm contributing and belonging to the church, I'm playing my part as everybody else is playing their part, and together we can become everything that God has created us to be. See, to jump a few steps ahead, we could say, if Paul was writing to us as Encounter Church, he might say something like, "Therefore I urge you, Encounter Church, in view of God's mercy, be a living sacrifice. Lay yourself down. Be separated toward God. Be a church that thinks differently. Be a church that belongs to each other." What if we lived like that? What if we lived in a space and a place, in a community and a family that's bigger than ourselves? That it's not about me laying my life down, but it's about us playing our part. That we might even find that we live transformed. Right? We do not be conformed with form. Don't live in the same form as the world, but be transformed beyond the form by changing the way you think. What if we change the way we think from me and mine to us and ours? What if we joined a band? What if we lifted each other up? What if we filled the parts that I'm trying? Look, I can do it on my own. I can do it. I don't need to ring Adam and let him know I'm not okay. I can do it. I can do it. No. Stay within your limits. Stay within your capacity. Understand that that Lance has been through stuff I haven't, and maybe he can help me get to where he's gone. We are limited. And it's a good thing that we are limited because we can't do it on our own. It means that we need God and we need each other. We need the band. Together we make each other better. Together we lift each other up. Together we win. Together we can be everything that God has created us to be. Not everyone can do everything. All right, here's the problem with a band, right? Let's do this. Who loves country music? That's a lot more hands than I was expecting. All right. Who loves rock and roll? Who loves 80s? Who loves classical? Who loves, I don't know, hip-hop or something like that? R&B. Right, this is the point. Like, each band is not for everybody. Country people like country music. I love 80s rock, especially like one-hit wonders, and I love rock ballads, and I love, Rachel had the audacity that we were driving to, on this long trip, and I was playing my Bon Jovi, and she goes, "Can he actually sing?" Like, excuse me? Get out. No, I didn't say that. I didn't. But the point is not every band is for every person. God has created and called us to be Encounter Church. We are who we are. And when we pursue, see, what I'm trying to say is each band is limited. You can't ask a country band like if you're classical, you can't complain to the country band that they're not classical because they're country. Each band is limited. We are limited. We are limited to be who God has created us to be. We are limited to be who God has called us. We're not called to be everyone to everything to everyone. We're just trying to fulfill the call that God has placed on our life. And when we do that and we reach our capacity, God steps in. But when we try and step outside of that, we just burn each other out and we start causing problems. We need to be able to believe and understand that as within our capacity, within our limits, that when we play our part together, that's where God steps in. All right, next slide, please. And the one after that. When we're who God has created us to be, when we do what God has called us to do, when we stay within the limits God has given us, we will play our part in His story more effectively. Why don't you stand with me? I'm going to bring this to an end. If I can have the band up. The purpose of the church is not to get more butts in seats. Although I'm all for more butts in seats because hopefully that's the result of the kingdom of heaven coming into people's lives. But the point is not to get more butts in seats. The point is get the kingdom of heaven into our community. The point of the community is discipleship. The point of community is that we'd become more and more like Jesus, because I can't become more like Jesus on my own. You can't become more like Jesus on your own. But in a community of people, we can love each other well. We can share each other our burdens. We can pray and support each other, and we can have fun together and laugh together and talk about Jesus, talk about church, accept each other, and do all this space. Like, it's not community. We talk about community a lot, but it's not so that we get more butts in seats. It's not so that it's so that we can all play our part in the story of God. It's so that we can all become more and more like Jesus. It's so that we all are together and we're doing life together. It's like, I love what we do on a Sunday morning. I do, but I'm not going to sell my life out for that. But I will sell my life out for family, for community, to be a group of people, a group of individuals who come together, love each other, be there for each other, can be safe and vulnerable, and just help each other become everything that God has created us to be. All right, so here's my question. What instrument do you play? We're not all created to do the same thing. Now, I know there's annoying people like Adam and Max and that who just play whatever they want. And we thank Jesus for them. Like, he's flipping gone now and bought a saxophone so he can play that too. I'm waiting for it to be on platform, Max and Adam. But if you heard me sing, you'd be glad I played the bass. You're going like, is that the best you've got on the bass? Well, listen to me sing and you'll love my bass playing. Because we're not all created to do everything. We're created to be me. You're created to be you. We're created to be us. And God did an amazing job when He made you. Just got to bring the instrument to the band. And when you bring your instrument to the band, you start to belong. You don't belong. Like, imagine if you go, do you want to be part of our band? Absolutely. What do you play? I'm not going to play anything until I belong. Doesn't make any sense. No, you start playing, and then all of a sudden you start belonging, and the community of the band starts to increase and take on. What role can you play? What can you contribute to make the community better. I find it really frustrating when people say, I'm leaving the church because I don't like this. Yeah, but that's really hard because maybe God put you in here because we couldn't see that and you're the answer to fill that gap that we've got. Maybe you are the answer to the problem that you see. What role can you play? What instrument do you play? I was joking the other week with, I think it was Lance and Brian, because we used to, when we first got here, it's like, isn't it cool to see some of these young guys up on platform? And now we're like, isn't it cool to see some of the old guys up on platform? But that's the point. The point is everybody, it doesn't matter. Black, white, male, female. What other? It doesn't matter. What instrument do you play? What instrument do you play? Together, we make each other better. Together, we are there for each other. Together, we can support, we can pray. Together, we can do so much more and be so much more and do so much more and just become more. What instrument do you play? I want to encourage you, join the band. Feel free to join this band, but join this band. I mean, we got Ketsia, we got the Laws. If you're new here, that means nothing to you, but these are family members who are back visiting. It's the coolest thing. It's not just a church, we're a community, we're a family. You go, oh, it's Ketsia. Oh, Simon. Why? Because it's community, it's family. I want to encourage you, join the band. You go, I just don't know what to do. Join a team. Invite somebody for coffee. It's a bit uncomfortable, it's a bit of a stretch, it's a bit of whatever. You go, but I'm just not in a place. Okay, let somebody know that you are not doing okay so that they can walk with you and help you to be okay. But that's uncomfortable. I know it's uncomfortable, but it's not more uncomfortable than not being okay. Together we can do more, we can be more, we can become more. But you've got to join the band. Once a week doesn't do it. It's like going once a week's like going to the gym and living on donuts. We have these groups, we call them My Five groups. All they are is just a group of 4 or 5 people that you can do life with, pray together, talk about Jesus together, do whatever. You say, how do I join one? You don't, you become one. Just find some people that you want to do life with. Because we need to. We need to. Lord God, you're amazing. I just pray that you would help us in this space. I know so many of the people here, I'm just preaching to the choir, but there's some of us in this room who are just not doing okay. That we're not part of community, that we're not got those people in our life. I just pray, Lord God, that you would just give us the courage, give us that ability, that just 20 seconds to step out. We have now a space over to my right, your left, which is our care space. And there's going to be some people over there that will pray with you, introduce you to the right people, talk to you. Maybe you're going, I don't know about Jesus. I wouldn't mind knowing about Jesus. They will talk to you about that. They'll introduce you to somebody. If you're going, I'm just not okay and I don't know who to tell, they're safe. They're people that you can speak to. But what I want to encourage you is pick up your instrument and join the band. You will become who God has created you to be in community. Life to the full is found within our limits. We need to understand our limits and need to understand that where our limits stop, somebody else's limits begin, and together we can change the world.